On behalf of the principal who was not able to be here this morning, the staff and students, we would like to welcome you to the opening of Library Week at the Elmore Stout High School under the theme, Creative Ways in Depicting Libraries Through Arts, Music, and Storytelling. This year commemorates the 40th anniversary of the school's library providing services to the students and staff of ESHS. In addition, this year's Library Week is dedicated to the memory of the late Claremont Marshall Davies, who was an outstanding librarian at the Virgin Islands Public Library and in the British Virgin Islands. I acknowledge the presence of his children and family members who are present with us here today. Today, we are honoring librarians who have contributed to the development of library services in the school as well as the British Virgin Islands. Our honorees today are Miss Yvonne McKitney, Mrs. Eugenie Todman-Smith, Mr. Peter Mall, Mrs. Eileen Parsons, Mrs. Verna Mall, and Mrs. Lucille Dawson Malone. Libraries play an important role in the society, and we often undervalue the purpose of their existence. The theme tells us of many ways a library can be used for, not limiting them to only books. Libraries publicize the works of persons and preserves information for generations to come. It is a place where persons can obtain knowledge through ways of artistry, music, and storytelling. As we celebrate the 40th anniversary, this week will be filled with activities which is published in today's booklet. On behalf of the Elmore Stout High School, we extend congratulations to our honorees today, and we thank you for your services to us and to the BVI community over the years. Thank you.
Chasing the clouds. Pleasant good morning, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the platform guests and including the honorees for this week's celebration, including Mrs. Eileen Parsons right here in the front. And Stowe High School principal, I know she's not here right now, but our representative, staff members, teachers, students, and the media. Again, good morning. As a former Chief Librarian for the Public Library System, it's a pleasure to bring brief remarks for Library Week 2015, which we are celebrating this year under the theme, Creative Ways of Depicting Libraries Through Arts, Through Music and Storytelling. Now, Library Week, as we know, is an international affair, and it's an observance celebrating the contributions of libraries and librarians. I just want to say that in today's society, in today's world, because of the changing nature of libraries, we try not to use that word anymore. We call them, as you will know from your Stowe High School Center, we call them learning resource centers, especially here in the academic institutions. And we call librarians now information professionals. But I especially want to congratulate the persons being honored this morning for your immense contribution to the library system here in the British Virgin Islands. I will try to be brief as we decipher the theme this morning. Now, here in the BVI, the first government-sponsored library was started approximately 70 years ago when the secondary education came on stream. And that in itself is an awesome achievement, because I recall the public library system actually sponsoring creative arts festivals, and perhaps even the Stowe High School library. It was then BVI High School. It is unfortunate, however, that society still does not see or appreciate libraries for the phenomenal work that they do. They are the people's university because they bring information and knowledge to everyone, practically for free. Generally, though, in the region, libraries are depicted or represented mainly through the print form, through the book form. And because we seem not to be a reading society, therein lies a disconnect between the individuals in society, or many individuals in society, and library usage. In today's modern knowledge society, however, ICTs, which is information communications technology, it's pervasive, it's found everywhere. So then we're looking at art forms, including music and storytelling. They are now very present or more prevalent in the collections or programming of library services today. So what we are trying to portray here is to say, how can we continue then to portray or depict or represent the work or role of libraries more through these creative representations? And my question to you then would be, what do you see as the role or function of your resource center? And with a theme like Creative Ways of Depicting Libraries to Arts, Music, and Storytelling, what does that say? Okay, so I will tell you how I interpret this theme. What it is asking us to do is to throw out the old misconception of libraries as storehouses of old dusty books, because libraries now have contemporary dance classes, comic show sessions, and you name it, it is there. Especially if you go to the libraries in developed countries like Canada and the US and the UK. I remember when I studied in Canada, it was a joy to go to the library system downtown in Toronto. Because it was a joy to be there. I mean, the glass building and just the way it was built and depicted. It was wonderful being there. You felt like you could stay there all day. It is asking us to throw out the old misconception of the library system as quiet places to study or read. Libraries now utilize spaces to experience new music, and not just recorded formats, but live music as well. For instance, there is a Get It Loud in Libraries program in the UK. Libraries are no longer, we throw out the misconception of them being boring. Libraries now teach people how to code, how to DJ, how to take better pictures, and how to make your own movies. right? Whether it's through a live class or a YouTube tutorial. So this is what we wanted to see. I went to the library system this weekend, and there's a great exhibition that's bigging up some of our BVI artists such as Joseph Hodge and Ruben Vanterpool, storytellers such as teacher Jenny Whitley, who was a staff member here at Elmo South, and Hugo Vanterpool, and musicians such as Dalen Vanterpool and Kamau Georges. Do y'all know any of those people? Good. We expect then that you will continue to use your library as a center for creative activity and exhibit your creative works of art, whether that be in the form of a painting or 3D models. Why, for example, shouldn't we have the festival costumes exhibited, say here on campus in your resource center? And those of you who do art, we expect to see you exhibit your paintings and your artwork there. At the H. Lavity South Community College, for instance, we have a collection where we are collecting all the calypsos through the ages. Because last year they celebrated the 60th anniversary of festival. And such a collection, we imagine, will be a very rich and historical one, because calypso, as a music art form, tells the story of what's happening in society at a certain point in time. Storytelling also provides a way for the collective memory of communities to be shared. Long ago there wasn't any radio and any television, and so we shared stories. I don't know if you would hear the older folks say that they told zombie stories, or your parents might talk about the zombie stories they heard as young people. Alright? Now, these forms then do have a place in your library system. And we are hoping that they will continue to be places where you can find your favorite music, your exhibition rooms, your programs to learn to dance, to paint, and to explore other art forms. So as we think about these things, this is how we want to imagine libraries now and in the future. So once again, I want to congratulate the persons being honored today for their contribution. And as we celebrate Library Week, please remember to take advantage of the open house opportunities to explore the creativity that is inherent in library collections and programs. Thank you.
The Elmore Stout High School Learning and Resource Center. That's where you all prepare projects and print copies. And it's headed by Miss Yvonne McTavius and Miss Dorothy Rapsat. There's a lot to know, and we're going to just give you a little bit. Written account by Miss Jenny Whitley, who was the former assistant principal of our British Virgin Islands High School. I joined the British Virgin Islands High School staff in 1970. At that time, the school library was a set of books that had been brought over from the Virgin Islands Secondary School in 1968. That is 47 years ago. With the help of Mr. Trevor Paris, a teacher at the time, and the late Sheila Hindman, a student at the time, the books were sorted into those that should be kept and those that should be thrown out. Later, the late Barbara Turnbull, one of our past principals, who was an avid reader, meaning she liked to read a lot, avid reader, and a geography teacher, joined Miss Whitley to open the library to students during the lunch hour and after school. The public library, under the direction of Mrs. Verna Penmall, who is here with us this morning, sent Mrs. Janice Nibbs Biden to help us organize the school library into a lending library. They went through all the books, set up the library, and here we are today with our Learning Resource Center. We have guests with us today, and they were all at one time students at our schools here in the Virgin Islands and also held various posts, teachers, principals, secretaries, and other posts that deal with education. Because of time, I must go quickly. We have Miss Jenny Wheatley, who we're honoring also. She was also a primary school teacher, secondary school teacher for over 40 years, and an assistant principal. And she, as we just heard, was very paramount in making sure that our library got its start. We want to mention, if you will just wave, Miss Ermin Burnett, wave at our students. She served as a library assistant at the Virgin Islands Public Library under the leadership of the Chief Librarian, Mrs. Verna Penmall. Ms. Penmall, please stand. Let us see the Chief Librarian back then. Beautiful lady. I'll say more about her in a little bit. Eugenie Donovan Glasgow, an outstanding daughter of the British Virgin Islands. She was a head teacher and principal, and also served on many areas here in our government's educational system. The list goes on. We also want to say that she was former librarian of the HLSCC Resource Center and former school librarian. Community College Learning Librarian of the British Virgin Islands. Also, Miss Yvonne McKentney. She was also librarian at the Regional Library in Trinidad. She completed courses there, my apologies, in 1946. And we must mention that she received an award as member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, for faithful and loyal services in 1988 from Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. She also, that's something to clap about, guys. So these are awesome people, so much to say about them. I guess we can make our programs available for printing for individual requests. Miss Eugenie Todman Smith. I see her here. Stand up, pretty lady. All right. She was seconded to the service, the primary school commission, to the post of librarian, and the library was to serve as the hub of community education, those programs. We also want to say that Ms. Todman Smith was appointed as coordinator of the community education that took effect in 1962. She's been very, very visible. The library staff was increased. Assistant librarians were put in place. Secretary, she just made things happen. And we congratulate her for that. Miss Eileen Parsons, up in the front. Let's say hello to Miss Eileen Parsons for the educational foundation that she received at the Roadtown Methodist Church School from teachers such as the late Gladys Watley, Miss Julia Georges, Miss Enid Scatliff, Miss Melissa Henry Christopher, and Miss Adeline Milliner. Miss Parsons completed her primary and secondary education, graduated from the Charlemagne High, there in St. Thomas, USVI. There's so much to say about our once, many times, honorable Eileen Parsons. She also sat on our government. Let's give her a hand for that. In over culture, wonderful. And she was also very athletic. I hear she used to mash up in the place. So she's been an athlete. Let's give her a hand for that. And a good one. Especially in softball. She's a member of the national softball team. All right, that's awesome. And she sings and dances. Listen, she does it all. Woman wears many hats. I want to also move on. She shared a little bit about her days at the Roadtown Public Library. She was involved with the public library since 1966. She served on the Library Services Committee by the late Dr. Laurel Harrigan. She also served as a member until 1961 and became the acting librarian. So that's why she also is being honored. Lucille Dawson Malone. Stand up. Miss Dawson Malone. The print is small, but I'm going quickly. Miss Dawson Malone, her career path led her to become a civil servant and a library assistant at the Virgin Islands Public Library in 1964. She was also appointed librarian in 1966. And from January to July 1968, Miss Malone attended a training at the Central Library in Port of Spain, Trinidad. She came back and she worked in a branch of libraries there in San Fernando, Tobago. She also benefited from the work experience and began to work on the mobile library. That's library on wheels. Have you ever seen a library where the books are on wheels on a big van? They came to the primary schools, right? Good. She was very strategic in introducing that. So let's hear it again for Miss Lucille Dawson Malone. I see some other persons. I'd like to introduce. Stand please, those of you who are at the back, family members, just stand and wave so that the camera can see you. You're hiding. Stand, all of you. Yes, family. I believe you're family of Miss Davis, right. And Mr. Blyden has a presentation, and that's as fast as I could have gone with so much information. A 30-page program. So thank Ms. Klein for going through it quickly so you can get to class. Come on up, Mr. Blyden. Mr. Alan Blyden, and then we'll present our certificates.
Good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone. It's a privilege for me to be here with you on this occasion. I would like to now call Mrs. Yvonne the librarian. And I would like to present her as the librarian a copy of my book entitled Tried, Tested, and Tempted. And I'd like to donate this to the library at this time.
Mrs. Laverne Baptiste, please come now, and you're going to present books to our librarian and our school. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Laverne Baptiste. My book is entitled Out From Under My Rock, and it's about somebody who struggled, gave up, and then fought to get back in the game and had to face all those challenges. So it's a very easy read, very short, and it's a pleasure to present it to you. Thank you.
Now, Mrs. Penwall, come on, let's listen. I wanted to share briefly.
What a wonderful opportunity to be here with all of you students today. What a wonderful idea to celebrate libraries and librarians. I'm very pleased to be here to present my latest book to you. The title of the book is This Land, a Trust from God. And I'm delighted to present it to you and the school librarian.
Beautifully done. Let's thank all of our authors, our presenters, Now we're going to have certificates. So we're going to ask our deputy principal to present certificates. I will call the name. So if our honorees will be ready to receive them. First, this certificate is presented to a certificate of appreciation in recognition of outstanding service in the field of librarianship and for the development of the library services in the Virgin Islands, Miss Ermin Penn Burnett.
Turn this way.
All right. Certificate of appreciation again goes to Miss Lucille Dawson Malone. Outstanding service in the field of librarianship and development of library services in the Virgin Islands. Beautifully done. And Miss Eugenie Todman Smith, come on up. In recognition of outstanding service in the field of librarianship and for the development of the library services in the Virgin Islands. Mr. Peter Ball, come on up, sir. Yes, for your outstanding service in the field of librarianship and development for library services in the Virgin Islands. And his wonderful wife, Miss Verna Penball, come on up again. In recognition of outstanding service in the field of librarianship and for the development of the library services in the Virgin Islands. And last but not least, Yvonne McKenty is not here. Is that correct? Oh Lord, sorry. And Miss Yvonne McKenty, in recognition of outstanding service in the field of librarianship and for the development of the library services in the Virgin Islands. I want you to say something. Good. Good. On the behalf of the family. Right. And last but not least, Miss Eileen Parsons. We're going to take it down to her. Outstanding service, librarianship, leading in library services. We appreciate all our librarians. Let's say thank you, librarians, for making it easy for us to read and read and read. Give them a hand. Vote of thanks will be given by our academic principal, Miss Vanessa Garraway.
Good morning, all. All good things must come to an end, and we are going to end our little program with a short vote of thanks. We appreciated all those librarians that we honored and all those that weren't able to be here with us today. We just want to say we appreciate all that you have done for us. We'd like to thank the following persons for all that they did to make this week a success. The Honorable Myron Walwyn, Mrs. Sandy Underhill, Mrs. Donna Klein, Mrs. Bernadine Louis, Mr. Waterman and his group, Mrs. Eileen Parsons, Mrs. Lucille Dawson Malone, Mrs. Eugenie Todman Smith, the ESHS Music Department, the ESHS English Department, Mr. Peter Mall, Mrs. Verna Penn Mall, Mrs. Ermin Penn Burnett, Miss Yvonne McKetney, Mr. Ruben Vanterpool, Mr. Jeremy Vanterpool, ESHS Visual Arts Department, Mr. Simon Potter from Rotan Wholesale, Mr. Alan Blyden, Mr. Hugo Vanterpool, Mrs. Laverne Baptiste, and Mr. Walwyn Bruley. We thank you all for making this morning's opening ceremony a success. Thank you.